Divine Oracle, Unwritten Words Behind My Novel. The Historical Blueprint of a Great Argead Saga, ALEXEIN. Volume 1, Telesias, The War Dance. By Makāula Nakae. Audio Essay. Episode 10, The Evolution of Olympias' Persona. Welcome back to Divine Oracle, Unwritten Words Behind My Novel. I am Makāula Nakae. The woman known to history as Polyxena, Myrtale, and Olympias remains one of antiquity's most fiercely debated and enigmatic sovereigns. Her life, a relentless torrent of dynastic maneuvering, military mobilization, and clinical survival tactics, offers an extraordinary case study in how a brilliant woman navigated a predatory, male-dominated court. When we look at mainstream historical summaries, she is routinely flattened into a shallow caricature of a mad, vindictive queen. But when we look closer, we uncover a psychological profile defined by an unyielding defense of her bloodline, sharp strategic calculation, and an identity deeply intertwined with the most terrifying warrior legends of the Greek world. A psychological exploration, power, control, and survival. Reconstructing a psychological profile of Olympias requires us to look past the moralizing insults of Roman-era biographers and focus strictly on her concrete behavior within the highly competitive arena of the Macedonian court. What emerges is not an unstable woman driven by blind hysterics, but a master of power dynamics who combined raw emotional depth with a detached clinical reasoning to achieve her objectives. 1. The calculus of ambition. Olympias' life was shaped by an unwavering, absolute commitment to securing her son Alexander's position as the sole legitimate heir to the Argead throne. In the polygamous landscape of Pella, where a king maintained 7 concurrent royal households, a queen's safety was only as secure as her son's proximity to the crown. Her ambition was a direct reaction to an environment of extreme existential risk. This drive was heavily reinforced by her Meletian royal heritage. Growing up within the elite Achilles dynasty, she was raised with a profound sense of cosmic destiny. When she entered Macedonia, a court that systematically undervalued and marginalized foreign women, her ambition became her primary weapon. She established a commanding psychological presence, ensuring her voice could never be ignored by the lowland barons. 2. Emotional intensity as a strategic weapon. Ancient sources frequently paint her as a volatile, fiery, and unpredictable figure, prone to disproportionately aggressive reactions to political threats. Where hostile male historians saw irrational female madness, a modern strategic analysis reveals a highly calculated use of intimidation. Olympias understood human psychology intimately. She recognized that by cultivating a reputation for fierce, unyielding intensity, she could project an aura of terrifying unpredictability that kept her political rivals permanently off balance. Her deep involvement in the ecstatic Dionysian's snake-handling mysteries was a masterstroke of psychological warfare. In a deeply superstitious warrior society, a queen who handles wild serpents is not merely an aristocrat, she is a figure under divine protection. She weaponized her spirituality, transforming religious awe into an unassailable political armor that caused her enemies to hesitate before moving against her household. 3. Cunning and alliance building. Despite the sensationalized focus on her temper, her actual political record demonstrates remarkable intelligence and strategic flexibility. She was an expert diplomat, capable of orchestrating complex international alliances, reading the hidden vulnerabilities of her court rivals, and executing long-term succession plans with ruthless efficiency. Her actions were never the result of blind impulse. She knew precisely when to deploy soft persuasion, when to forge a calculated political alliance, and when to unleash absolute, definitive force. Her mind beautifully balanced profound emotional conviction with cold, calculating pragmatism, allowing her to anchor the succession of the empire in the middle of a viper's nest. The fury of Achilles, the inheritance of rage. To truly comprehend the driving spirit behind Olympias, we must look at the mythic lineage she claimed as an absolute birthright. As a princess of the Meletian dynasty of Epirus, her family traced its bloodline directly back to Neoptolemus, the son of Achilles, the greatest, most destructive warrior of the Trojan War. For Olympias, this heroic ancestry was not an abstract poetic fairy tale. It was the foundational framework of her entire identity. The mythic blueprint. The inherited chronicle. Achilles' total devotion, uncompromising honor, and destructive sovereign rage. the live execution. Olympias's absolute shield, fierce protection of Alexander, and unyielding dynastic purges. In Homer's Iliad, Achilles is characterized by an overwhelming, volatile intensity. He is a figure of extremes, defined by an unmatched capacity for frontline combat, a profound and uncompromising emotional life, a fierce loyalty to his companions, and a consuming, world-shattering rage when his honor is violated. Olympias actively channeled this ancestral archetype. She did not see herself as a passive queen, bound by the domestic restrictions of the southern Greek city-states. She saw herself as a true child of the Aeacity, possessing the absolute moral right to unleash a righteous, unyielding fury against anyone who dared to compromise her honor or threaten her son's inheritance. This mythic connection served a vital strategic purpose. By wrapping herself in the legacy of Achilles, she boosted her prestige across the Pan-Hellenic world, projecting a formidable, larger-than-life image that directly mirrored her dedication to Alexander's success. The fury of Achilles became her defining legacy, a brilliant, terrifying intensity that allowed her to match the brutality of her era stride for stride, piercing the bias, restoring the real sovereign. Every psychological profile we attempt to build must be approached with true source-critical caution. The stories of her madness, her excessive jealousy, and her bloodthirsty nature were compiled centuries after her death by ancient male historians who fundamentally struggled to categorize a woman who wielded kingly executive authority. They chose to reduce her brilliant political maneuvers to simple, petty domestic emotionalism, using patriarchal archetypes to trivialize her strategic genius. In ALEXEIN, we systematically dismantle that ancient distortion. We step into the silence of the archives to restore her intellectual dignity. We show that her actions, including her swift, clinical purges following Philip's assassination, were not born of erratic madness, but of the cold, calculated mathematics of dynastic survival. She did what was necessary to protect the throne, operating as a formidable, clear-eyed statesman who navigated a lethal world with absolute domination and unmatched efficiency. Tune in for our next daily drop tomorrow as we continue to dissect the bloodlines of antiquity. ALEXEIN, a great Argead saga. Volume 1, Telesias, the War Dance. Unearth the ultimate historical drama. We are releasing a brand new episode every single day until the epic conclusion of Volume 1. Each chapter delivers a tight, hyper-focused, 5 to 15-minute hit of cinematic historical drama, the perfect daily plunge into the ancient world. Watch the cinematic video trailer. Listen to the full saga now. Bookmark Volume 1, Telesias playlist. Subscribe to follow the rise of the Argead dynasty. Thumbs up to help push our vanguard through the algorithm's gauntlet. Comment below. Was Olympias's intense use of religious authority and mythic imagery a genuine expression of her personal spiritual identity? Or was it a brilliant, calculated piece of psychological warfare designed to terrorize her political enemies in Pella? Let me know your structural breakdowns in the comments below.